Okay. Anyway, yesterday we're learning about the din of not lehatera and all those types of things. Now, the last thing we learned, if that's only if you cook parv in a meat pot, so then again, if it was used within 24 hours, the custom is not to eat directly with milk. If it's after 24 hours, you could. But if you have like chicken soup, even though you took the chicken out of the soup and they cook something in it, then that's 100% meat and you can't eat it with milchiks whatsoever. That's what we left off yesterday, and then we were talking about the restaurant just in a practical way, that you have to generally consider anything in a meat restaurant that it's meat and anything in a dairy restaurant that's dairy, unless if they promise you and you trust them that it's mamish 100% separate and 100% pativ.
But even the rack and the fryer would have to be separate because the oil, I know the guy just spoke to him after. He said there's one designated fryer just for French fries to keep them hard, but I didn't really follow up with him about the basket.
Okay, it could be not only the basket, it could be other utensils that they use that are not necessarily clean. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just bringing up a point that people have to be aware that just because you buy something parv in a fleshik restaurant does not mean it's parv. It's not.
If they wash that basket in a fleshik dishwasher, what would you say then?
Then it could very well be fleshik. Because they don't. Okay, next. What? Yeah, but it's together with mamosha seflesh washed in dishwasher. It's together with mamosha. It's not clean. It's after when it comes out, it's clean. In the process, it's dirty with other meat. So it's ben yoimei. So and so then you can't eat it mamish with cheese. I didn't say it makes you fleshik. Sometimes it will make you fleshik. I'm just saying you can't eat French fries from a pizza station together with a hot dog. That's what I'm saying.
And most of those restaurants, they tell you it's fleshik.
A lot of restaurants, if it's proper hashkacha, they'll tell you it's fleshik.
You can't have cheese with it, but you don't have to wait 6 hours.
Correct, unless if they're baking meat at the same time with the kugel, and they're both uncovered. I mean, I'm just making people aware. We're not. You're not learning your day here to know how to pass on all kitchen shilas. The purpose of this class is to tell people that they should be aware that there are things that are questions that need to be asked, or you need to find out details. What?
And we are not supposed to have fish and
meat.
Is it biblical or not?
It's sakana. In other words, it's rabbinic, but it has a stronger power than biblical because it's dangerous.
Rabbi Yosef, these French fries that's fried in a fleshik
deep fryer.
deep fryer, you have to wait 6 hours?
If, let's say, they fry chicken and meat in that same oil, and then you fry French fries, those French fries are 100% 6-hour fleishiks.
So if they fry, let's say, schnitzel, then after that, French fries.
That's what I'm saying. Not all restaurants have separate fryers for schnitzel and for French fries. Or even if they do, that doesn't mean... I'll give you an example. Let me tell you a story that happened many, many years ago when I was young and restless. 40 years ago, when I first came, so Rabbi Stillman and me used to go around late at night to look at restaurants, bakeries, restaurants, not for hashkacha. We said, we want to know what to tell the Chabad community if they can eat it or not. You don't have to let us in. We're not, some places didn't let us in, some places let us in. Anyway, I won't tell you what we saw, because what we saw you wouldn't eat anyway in a restaurant, period. Forget kashrus. But that's not the... okay, so then we go to this bakery with a mashgiach, because there was an issue with bakeries, there still is an issue with bakeries, that they bake challah in the same oven where they make cheesecake. There's many, even the frum places have a dairy oven, and they have a meat and a parv oven. in the bakery. And they don't have a meat oven, obviously. They have pyre, and they have many times a dairy oven. Because they make cheesecake, they make cheese danishes, they make whatever, a lot of milchik things. So this guy takes us to one of his restaurants, bakeries that he's mashgiach on, and he said, this one is for sure separate. Because what we were finding was, they're using Thursday night, they need to bake a lot of challah, right? There's not enough room in the completely parva oven. What do? The guys that are baking are not necessarily Yidden. They're not necessarily Jews, and they're not necessarily the most intelligent people, and etc., etc. So he says, this bakery, 100% separate. Come into the bakery, he's looking at it was late Thursday night, maybe 1, 2 in the morning. We open the oven, we see the parva oven, challahs are baking, and then we go to the milchik oven, we open it up, there's challahs baking in the milchik oven. Yeah? The guy says to him, what are you talking about? We do it every week. That's what the guy, the goyim that we're baking.
By the way, just Rabbi, in New York, most of the Hamish baking machines, they say it's some sort of thing that they wait an hour between. Although when I'm out here, tell you what you just.
Okay. Anyway, let's get to the book. Anyway, so what's the problem with that? Challah is baked in a milchik oven that was used that day for milchik, so you can't eat the challah with fleishiks. I mean, la halacha you could, but we learned the minhag to be machmal Rashi that you can't.
You have with fish.
If it's not baked together, you can have it with fish. But we were discussing yesterday, if somebody bakes a challah together with meat in the oven that's uncovered, then you can't have the challah together with fish. What?
Where in the Gemara is it mentioned about fish and meat?
Huh?
The Gemara, does it mention fish and meat?
It's mentioned in Rambam, it's mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. Huh? What?
Are you saying that if you put, for example, challah, the oven, you cannot eat it for Shabbat?
No, I didn't say that. I said if the oven was used that day for chalavi,
Yes.
so then there's a custom not to eat it with meat.
Yeah.
But you can eat it with the fish. You don't, it doesn't make you meat, it doesn't make you dairy. But,
Eat it with hummus.
huh?
That's for Ashkenaz. For Sfarad, they are all owing that. So that maybe that's why it's
No, there's Ashkenazic bakeries.
no,
No, there's Ashkenazic bakeries.
okay.
I will tell you a little secret. 40 years ago, there were not that many Sephardic Jews in L.A. No, I'm not joking. 40 years ago, there was very few. After the revolution, then they came. It was later. But initially, there were very few Sephardic Jews in L.A. There were a bunch of Israeli, but not Sephardic.
Which revolution?
And January 1st in the capital. Okay, next. Now, this din of Eina ben Yemei, that is not by something which is very sharp. That means, what happens if somebody cooks, let me think of an example.
Onion.
No, they cook an onion, a plain onion, in a meat oven. So then, that onion, because of the sharpness of the oven, the onion becomes meat.
100%.
Huh? Not 6 hours, but you cannot eat it together with milk. Not only that, it didn't by chodef, by sharp, even if it's eina ben yomei, even if it's not, it wasn't used for 24 hours. So let's say you're baking a very salty fish, in an oven, and the oven is fleishiks. Okay, no, well, that's a different. Huh? Okay, let's say it's milk, right? The milk oven, and you're cooking very salty herring or meat or fish, whatever. So that herring cannot be eaten with meat at all. Not together. You could eat it before, you could eat it after, but you can't. Not only that, even if the oven wasn't used for dairy for 24 hours, you still can't by something sharp. Why? Because the sharpness, like we learned already, The sharp after 24 hours is a blemished taste. By something sharp, the 24 hours doesn't make it a blemished taste. It remains unblemished. But this din, and this is a din that is very important to know, that's only when you bake the salty thing by itself. But if you bake it with liquid and other things, so the liquid takes away the sharpness of the onion. So let's say you're cooking an onion, but it's in water. Soup. And there's an onion in it. So then that onion doesn't have any more din of something sharp because the liquid neutralized the sharpness and therefore doesn't have a din of chodif. That happens a lot of times, by the way. People cook things and it's a sharp thing and then they realize it's... but now you have a lot of examples of sharp things. For instance, vinegar, very salty water, onions, radishes, horseradish, herring, lemons, garlic.
But there is no hot pepper, no jalapeno.
No, that's also. He does call it. He has a name for malafonim. But the bottom line is anything
sharp.
anything very sharp. No, cucumber not. Cucumber not. But anything that's very... What? But a sour pickle might have a din of a chodif. There are opinions that say it is because it's a lot of vinegar and salted.
If you're cooking something in inflation pot, even if it's not sharp, it has the same effect because when you're cooking it, it's going to get absorb all the things.
Not after 24 hours.
You already know, you already cooked it.
So what?
If you put potatoes in a inflation pot, that shouldn't be any different than cooking onions in a inflation pot.
There is. I told you if it's 24-hour difference.
The act of cooking is the most sharp thing you can do.
No, by sharpness it makes the blemished unblemished. Like this, in normal things, after 24 hours, the vessel is called blemished. The taste is blemished. And because the taste is blemished, then there's not an issue, because Zaina ben Yaimeh.
So a inflation pot that was used 48 hours ago, and you cook onions.
I'll give you a simple example. A crazy example. If somebody cooked an onion in a meat pot, a plain onion, they took an onion and cooked it in a meat pot, yeah? That wasn't used for 48 hours, a week, yeah? That onion cannot be sliced up to put on a lax and cheese sandwich.
And if you cook potatoes,
Then you could. If it's Eina ben Yaimeh, you'll be allowed to put a sour cream on the potato.
The way you're saying it is only if the onion itself is out of the
Only if the onion itself was in the pan.
Nothing else in the pan.
But if there's other liquid and things like that, then it's oil, then it...
With the shell and the oven, with medium oven, doesn't make it easy.
No, but you have to take the shell off before you eat. I know, so.
It's not so simple because the taste could go through the shell. It can go through the shell. What?
We have a fish with onion and a menu in a meat oven. So onion takes in the fish. Can't eat the fish.
If it's ben yaimeh, yeah, because by fish they make it with it. You could take a keli, a meat keli, and the ben yaimeh, and cook fish in it. So there's not a difference with the onion. Okay, anyway, what?
make a vegetable soup, which has onions, yeah? And you make
The onions were cut with what type of knife?
fleshig knife.
So the onions are fleshig.
Put it in a vegetable soup. There's many other things, water, other vegetables. And soup, yeah? Let me talk for a second. The pot wasn't used in a week, right? Is that a par of soup? Or because the
Yeah,
onions
but you can't have that soup together mamish with milchiks.
fine, but the onions that were cut with a fleshig knife, because it's in a soup, you're saying like parves up.
Yeah, but you can't eat milchiks mamish with that soup.
Fine, but the onion doesn't need the whole
The onion, right, right. Okay. Machen Sie das mal zu meinem Rebbe, mein Kim Schiblag alt, da beginnen wir kasche mit. Laat ik er wel gezegd zo, ik heb een mit